Dominic Cummings unveils a plan for a new party to replace the Tories. We're going to read into this more from the Telegraph, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the Telegraph with the headline of Dominic Cummings unveils a plan for a new party to replace the Conservatives. The former advisor to Boris Johnson said his start-up party will capitalise on the collapse of the Conservative vote at the general election. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So, to be clear, he's looking to capitalise. So, after the general election, obviously, there is going to be a collapse of the Conservative vote. Now, as of right now, we don't know how big that collapse is going to be. Now, some people have speculated it could be more than, it could be around 100. They could still be just over 100. Some people think it could be even less than 100 Conservative voters. The reality is we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be for certain. What we do know is that we are likely to get one of two outcomes. We are either going to likely to get a Labour majority, or we are to get a hung parliament with a Labour coalition with Lib Dems, Greens, something like that. That's one of the two, more likely. Those are the one of the two scenarios, likely. I don't see the SNP and the Labour Party working together, personally. That's one of the two outcomes. But what happens to all those Conservative voters? Now, this idea of a start-up party doesn't really work, just like it kind of doesn't work right now with reform. What do you mean reform is popular? Yeah, reform is popular in votes, but there's just one big, massive caveat to all of this, and that is the voting system that we have. We don't have PR. We don't have proportional representation. We have a first-past-the-post system, so the system is rigged against smaller parties. I mean, it's taken more than it's taken decades for the Greens parties to kind of get some kind of attention. Reform, for all their talk and bluster and all the votes that they are getting around, they've barely got any council seats, and the only MP they've got is one that defected from the Conservatives. So they haven't like as people say they're popular, and polling numbers are saying that, but I'm not seeing it I'm not seeing it in terms of voters in constituency. Now, yes, of course, we haven't seen them how they're going to run the general election. And local elections and general elections are a different thing, absolutely. But we're talking about a party here, this one here, about starting up from scratch here, as a means to kind of be the opposite of Conservatives and of a form of what the Labour Party is, be the opposite of what Labour Party is, to basically be a challenge to them here. What its name is going to be, what the format is going to be, I don't know. But a part of me thinks this could be quite a cunning plan by Dominic Cummings, because. And the other question is, who's going to be in this party? Like, he's going to need some prolific names, and there's going to need to be some serious money behind this. And to be honest, there's plenty of people who are more than wealthy enough that will throw their money behind this. Right-wing medias will big this up if they really wanted to. Stop talking about reform after the general election, because they're going to fade into the dust. I expect them to fade into the dust after this. So maybe this new party will make some grounds. I don't know. Who knows? But let's read more on what Dominic Cummings has to say on this, guys. So Dominic Cummings unveiled he's planned for a new start-up party, which he claims could replace the Conservatives. Speaking to the iPaper in his first interview since leaving Downing Street in 2020, Boris Johnson's former chief advisor said the new party could capitalise on the expected collapse in the Tory vote at the next general election. The vote lead mastermind claimed the majority of the electorate would support a party that is completely different to Labour and the Tories. The Tories are now obviously represent nothing except a continuation of the crap show: higher taxes, worse violent crime, more debt, anti-entrepreneurs, public service failing, immigration out of control, said Mr Cummings. I have to agree with Mr Cummings on all those things. But Labour will not, I think Labour will not alter the ultimate trajectory very much. There'll be continuously Treasury, continuously David Cameron, George Osborne, Sunak, and everything will keep failing, and everyone will be more miserable then by 2026 than they are now. There is going to be some continuation of things within the Labour government, but I don't know But we don't know that until they're in power. We can only go by what they're saying and what they're doing, by their actions. But I do think there is a cause for concern about Labour being in government as well, which I agree with. So to change, you have to have two fundamental things. You have to have an entity which is ruthlessly focused on the voters, not on Westminster and the old media. Yeah, it's called independent parties, green parties, low key parties. That's what they're called. But like everything with politics, things get muddied in the water all the time. And you have to have something which is friendly towards all of the amazing talent in the country, people who build things in the private and public sector. It sounds good, but how do you find that balance? There is no suggestion Mr Cummings' party would stand candidates in the general election, and he admitted that the first past the post-electoral system will make it difficult for a new party to break through. Yeah. But he insisted Nigel Farage's expected return to frontline politics could irreversibly damage the Conservatives at the next election and pave the way for a new party to replace them. If Farage unretires, the Tories could easily be driven down to double-digit seats, and then discussions of a star party and replacing them will go from a very fringe idea to be a very mainstream idea. I don't know. I mean, there's already been talk of Farage. Like I've seen reports that Farage is going to be spending more time in the US, being part of the Trump campaign and whatnot. So I don't know about that. I'm hearing mixed, conflicting issues. So whether Farage is going to or not, I don't know. But I don't know about the fact whether or not whether this is true or not. This is a big thing to say. He said, adding that the former Brexit party leader would not be welcome into the new party. So he's saying here that he would not welcome Nigel Farage into this newly formed party. But we also know that he could be flat out lying as well, because Farage, Dominic Cummings is a proven liar. So Mr Cummings also said that Keir Starmer's led Labour government would offer no meaningful change for the Tories. They've got a duff leader who does duff politics, can't communicate, doesn't actually have a picture of how he wants to be different. He just wants him to be in charge of the broken and old institutions and then do what the civil servants tell him to do all day. Now this last one is just nonsense about him bending over backwards for civil servants. No, it's not. That's not how it works. It's they tell the civil servants what to do and the civil servants do it. But if the civil servants are being told to do something that requires them to break the law, they will not do that, for obviously common sense. Because if you're asked to do something to commit a crime, you're not going to commit that crime, are you? Because you're going to end up going to prison. You end up paying fine for it. Yeah, if your employer asks you to break the law, you're not going to break the law, are you? It's just common sense here. He added that the quality of Labour MPs was not high, and it would make it harder for Mr Starmer to deliver what voters want. In a wide-ranging interview, Mr Cummings also revealed that he has not spoken to Mr Johnson since he walked out of number 10 in November 2020. Not surprising, really. He claimed the Tory party have not taken advantage of the Brexit opportunity since Britain left the European Union. Oh, my God. I'm not going into that. I've spoken about that enough times. Mr Cummings also took aim at the government's support for Ukraine, describing the country as a corrupt mafia state and Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine president, as a pumpkin. Well, he's an idiot. He's obviously been taking Russian money for saying that. We should have never got into this whole stupid situation, he said. This is not a replay of the 1940s with the pumpkin Zelensky at the church cheerleading an underdog. He's an idiot on this topic, without a doubt. This whole Ukrainian corrupt mafia state is basically condescending, and we're going to get effed. As a consequence, we are getting effed right now, right? Mr Cummings said the West's support for Ukraine had prompted Russia closer to China and told Vladimir Putin that we're a bunch of jokers. I mean, Putin already knew that before the war, he said, but he has emphasized it and broadcast it to the entire world. Well, you may be happy more, you know, what the dumbass here, obviously, in regards to the whole war in Ukraine, I'll just say, obviously, it's really people need to wake up and realize is Putin will not stop after Ukraine. He will want more territory. It's going to put Europe at risk. And guess what? We're part of Europe. Yes, we're part of Europe, which means we could become a target in the future. Yeah, sounds dumb, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. So this whole thing, like, just nonsense, just absolute nonsense from Dominic Cummings on that. There are things about Keir Starmer I agree with. Like, there are questions without a shadow of a doubt about the Labour Party, and I've covered them extensively numerous times here on this channel about how I feel about them. I do have questions about Keir Starmer, especially with the recent defection. Obviously, it's understandably I'm very cautious about this. But this idea of him obviously swooping in to take up a start-up party right from the ground up, I could see someone like Priti Patel take up the role of this kind of party. Someone like Priti Patel. Because she has been someone that has been quietly gathering people together. Whether she will make the jump, like switch off from the Conservatives and start from a brand new party, I don't know. I hope that they don't recruit someone like Nadine Dorries, because that would just be disastrous. But I can actually see Dominic Cummings doing something like this. I can see there will be a gap, especially if the Conservatives get wiped out, if they get wiped out. But it would all depend on what the outcome of the general election would be. How many seats they would be left with. Like, it's a lot of questions. But this could all just be a bunch of hoo-ha, and Dominic Cummings is just using this to gain attention as well. But we will have to wait and see. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of Dominic Cummings' master plan to replace the Conservative Party after the general election? This kind of start-up party that he refers to. He said he hasn't spoken to Johnson. Do you believe him? But who do you think would be in this party? Do you think it will be? Do you think it's just... And do you think that maybe after the general election, that reform could just fade away into the distance? Because we don't expect them to be around after the general election, do we? Answers on a postcard, please. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. It would be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or you can join me on Rumble, Patreon, or Facebook for exclusive content on those platforms as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.